when you take your photos and you load them into your folder and all that, you're going to have lots of photos, probably too many. Probably a lot of photos where things didn't quite turn out. Yeah, fair to say? Like if I jump you back into my folder with no selects, I've got like 66 photos, yeah, from a couple of different takes of the drops. I've got, and a bunch of these photos. Have you guys taken photos? Yeah. So if I was to really look at the amount of photos I took just of apples falling, what am I at? 44. Okay, so that's a lot. Yeah, I don't expect, and a lot of them aren't winners. A lot of them are no good. A lot of them are like test shots like this thing here where it's just, you know. So I've sorted down the ones I want and given them a ranking of 1 star. So this is, you know, I've arrived at this. Yeah, so that shot there was the first apple I got mid-air, so of course I kept it. I really like these 2 splashes, thanks to Ange, because Ange just, that's all Ange, all I did was just time it.
I got no professional apple splasher.
Well, we are still set up in the studio to Savo, yeah?
I can help throw your apple.
Okay, so they're kind of cool. I got some more apples, and I got a couple of splashes there, and these sort of more apples, and then I've kind of got these ones here where there's not much going on down here. It's pretty boring, but I'm thinking I might be able to just pepper in this light stuff up the top just to, you know, give it lots of splash and spray and stuff. So I definitely look at the cut in that apple. What I kind of want to do is I'm just going to group my apple. You don't have to do this. You could probably do it later in your layers panel. But I just want to get a bit of a feel for what I've got. I might even put my top apple here. See that one? I've got just like the little snippet. I thought I might leave that in the very top. And if you start reordering your photos, it automatically moves to sort manually. The apple's going down like that. Then we get the splash. And then I want to keep that splash, like this is all just pre-visualizing. I'm thinking I'll try and keep that splash. Add the outer bits of that splash to it. And then I probably mightn't even use that apple, but all of these little, well that one's not that good, but all those little wispy bits I kind of want to include in some way. Does all that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So there's lots of ways to get your photos into Photoshop, all ready to go in layers. What's the best way? Stacking. Okay. The way I go about it is Tools, Photoshop, Tools, Photoshop, and then load files into Photoshop layers. If you're already in Photoshop, it's slightly different. You go down to, it's a different spot. I'll show you that in a minute. And I need to at least select a couple. Lols. Control A to select them all. What am I too old to say lols too?
Everyone's too old to say lols. I'm too old to say
Lols.
I'm 20.
You know you're old when you still think lol is actually the same.
What am I trying to say? Your bowl's very dark.
It is?
It is very bright.
Okay. So a couple of ways we could correct that. I could,
I like my bowl.
a couple of ways I could correct my bowl. If Maddie was my client and she was grumpy about the tonality of it. Obviously I could take this into Camera Raw and edit them as a batch, and then so just in one extra step. Or I could just make the damn thing, and when it's all done I could edit it after that. So the thing that'll make you come unstuck is if you just edit one of these frames and don't edit the rest. You either edit them all beforehand or you edit it all afterwards. So there we go. Now I'm in Photoshop with all my layers. Woo, that's nice. The other way you can do it is if you're already in Photoshop and your photos are in a folder somewhere. I think it's under scripts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Load files in the stack.
So did you just load the layers that you're going to put in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, okay, let me can this, right? We'll jump out of that.
So using the layers that you're going to use for your photo?
Yeah. So, another way I could do it is I could just, let's say, Maddie, no, let's do it. They're a bit dark, I'll give you that. So I'm going to take them all into Camera Raw, okay? And I'm just going to, let's go up on the highlights, yeah? So we just lift those bright areas. I just got to watch that apple doesn't go too. Yeah, alright, so that's my adjustment. Select them all again. Go up to, remember this thing where you go up here and you go to sync settings? So you make one adjustment and then it applies to all of them. Now, all of these things ticked. I've only changed one of them, but that's okay. I'll just leave them all ticked. And when you go OK, it'll go and go through them all. Yeah.
Is there any way to do that on Photoshop?
Just up in here.
Is there any way to do that on Photoshop?
Notice. You would probably make an action and then play the action on each photo. I think that's the easiest way to do that, in short. Yeah.
Okay.
But there are ways you can automate Photoshop too. Okay, so let's go this will be a little bit different. If I go to open images, that should take me over to Photoshop when we start one. Yeah, so it's going to take them, bring them all in as separate tabs. So we're not as layers now. Okay. And the reason I'm going to show you this is there's a way to stack separate Photoshop files. Anyway, there's so many different ways to do the same thing. So everything's in now, but instead of being one file with all the photos as layers, I've brought in all the different photos just by themselves. Okay? So if we go back up to File, where was it? Scripts. Load files into Stack. You get this dialog box. And if we go to add the open files, it adds them all there, and then it'll build another file with them all stacked up. The other thing I want to point out too is, and I think Starlet, it was you had the bowl that moved a bit. This line here, this box here to check, might be really helpful for you because Photoshop will try its best to line the bowls up. So when we do that, so it creates a new, where'd it go? Untitled folder. And there's my file made up of all those other files. Okay? And you see how the crop's weird. Some photos there's nothing there. Other photos there's, because I've done that automatically align, and it's taken each photo and tried to line them up as best it can.
So my car had a flat battery and I just had to...
Okay, pushed it down the hill for
nearly,
you?
No, it was nearly flat, like it wasn't, it was starting...
Go Ness, hit it now! Let the clutch out!
I don't have a clutch.
Hey?
I don't have a clutch.
Oh, so what'd you do?
It was nearly flat, like it kick over and then it go tick, tick, tick. So I just kind of started...
Because your foot was on the wrong pedal.
No, it wasn't... You had to bring that up.
Alright. So that's probably a good spot for us to stop just for now, while Trace comes in and tells us what exciting things are happening tomorrow. So I think it's fair to say you guys are all at the point where you can mask and exclude things from layers and yeah, no? Okay, we will be soon. Yeah, happy to work with you on that. So essentially what you're doing is you're masking or erasing. If you erase, make sure you do it right because it's hard to go backwards. Everything off the layer that you don't want. So when all the bits combine, you've got the whole photo. Yeah, you've got all your bits of water and all your apples and things like that. Now there's a question, mate, if you had a question of, say we've got a photo here of an apple.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Yeah. How do we get the drops just to pop over the top without making your nose bleed? Yeah, like I added that last bit. Because remember you were saying how to add the water over your drops?
No, I was
Yeah.
thinking about because like you've got obviously you've got all the drops and stuff,
Yeah.
but you've got multiple apples in the bowl.
Yes.
I do this again.
That's where I'm saying, well, how do you deal with the apples being like having only one apple in the bowl but still having all the splashes from multiple apples?
Okay, cool.
That
So-
makes more
So
sense.
for starters, just leave one layer with an apple in it and don't use the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this will either change your life or you won't care, but I really like it because when you're working on a pure black background and you're adding things that have been strobed and lit, they're brighter than the background. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So this photo on top here is just bright bits. Yeah? Bright bits. There's a tiny little apple in there, but I can just fix that in a minute. Of course, what I can do is I can erase every little bit of black and get in around all of these flaps of water and things like that. But if you take your blend mode onto lighten, what it'll do is it'll keep all the bright parts of that layer and leave all the darker stuff from the ones below it. Okay? So what I've done is essentially just let the light water through and left all the dark bits there below. And because the water's brighter than the apples, yeah?
How'd you do that again?
It's really simple.
Did you not get that either?
Up here,
I didn't actually listen.
Oh, I was listening.
No, because I was putting something in the bin. I'm sorry.
tough crowd today.
No, that's
Yeah.
oh, is it the light?
I'm gonna
You
leave.
all have a go.
I'm gonna leave that there.
You've been a bit of a break.
Gonna finish that recording